Hey, what's going on everyone? Today we've got a pretty fun video. We're going to be talking about the Chill team yet again. As most of you know, I'm a pretty big fan of this team and I'm trying to get all 5 Chill units to level 60 Gear 7 as soon as possible. I already have Cold, Kelvin, and Zane at Gear 7, but Aurora and Yeti are 2 apple pieces for that last piece, which is a very slow piece to farm, and I wanted to prioritize Redbeard before I moved those two, but I will get them there before too long. And also with the return of Jay's event and his great event store, I've been able to buy quite a few tier 3 set tools and max the Ice Glider with all of the abilities at level 5. So I'm pretty excited about that, and now that I have my Chill team to a pretty solid level, I've been doing a lot more testing in Arena. Now a full Chill team is pretty solid, although I find the win rate to be somewhere around 50% in the current meta, maybe a little bit higher, but huge shout out to Agile Pirate Gladiator. He suggested that I try Majisto in the team with Yeti for all the Dizzy synergies and their ults and all that. So I stuck Majisto in the place of Zane, and the team has been absolutely destroying. For me, it's been probably close to a 95% win rate so far, maybe a little bit higher. I've really only lost to a couple Ninjago teams. I don't believe I've lost yet to a pirate team. It is incredibly effective against pirates, and it can totally beat Ninjago as well, but it is a little bit more challenging, and if the RNG doesn't go your way, you can lose a lot of your units, especially with that Kai ultimate, which is very, very deadly. But yeah, the team was effective enough that I was able to climb from the 70s all the way up to 1st in Arena in just one day. So the first battle I want to share with you here is up against number 15, this level 59 pirate team with a Gear 7 Kartovsky in there. That's a bit of a weird choice. Kartovsky can actually be quite effective in a full space team, and especially against Ninjago, but since there are no Ninjago units in my team, he was not too much of a problem, and the team was very easy to beat. And by the way, I do have a video coming shortly talking about Kartovsky because he is better than I first thought, and in a space team, he can be quite effective. So yeah, let's take a look at this footage, and I'm going to kind of talk about how the team functions and just sort of the best ways to play it to really make it work. So ideally, the best case scenario is to get Yeti to taunt while he has damage immunity. And that isn't going to always happen every battle. Even if it doesn't, you can still win, but if it does, it will be made a lot easier to actually win the battle. So I start by inflicting Clumsy on Redbeard to make sure he's going to miss his first attack there. I reduce Pep on Bart to make sure he can't heal immediately, and then I get the Dizzy right there on Redbeard, preparing for this big hit, which didn't critically hit, but that's all right. So, do I take out Redbeard here? Not quite. Does this ability? Yeah. So there we go. So Redbeard is already out of the battle. It's pretty straightforward to do that early on with this team because of all the damage, especially that really nice opening move with, of course, Yeti there in the Dizzy. So look at that, right there Yeti has his 2-turn taunt and the 2-turn damage immunity. I managed to play that turn order perfectly with this specific battle, and then right there I was able to give him Retribution from Majisto and heal him up a little bit, and now he is counterattacking, and right there he's healed to full health from Aurora, and now he's doing quite a bit of damage on these counterattacks, and he still has that damage immunity. So this is the best case scenario, and now what you can do is use Majisto's ultimate 1 turn after it's actually available, follow it up with Yeti's ultimate, and you'll get stun on every unit that had Dizzy from Majisto's ultimate. So look at that, Scarlet is now stunned, and Debilitate is on a bunch of units as well as some other debuffs. You can see how easy it is to win this battle. It has not been a struggle at all. We have not needed to use Aurora's Revive yet, and we are easily beating this team. Of course it is Kartovsky, but we'll show a couple more difficult teams right after this one. So let's just go ahead and fast forward through the rest of this battle, and then we'll get to the next one. And there we go, Kartovsky is taken out, and that is a victory. So the next battle here is going to be up against a Ninjago team with a Gear 7 Wu, Lloyd, and Garmadon, and a 7-star Kai and I believe a 5-star Jay. So not completely maxed, but still a very viable team, and just the fact that you can beat this with Chill is kinda crazy. So as you see, this battle is much more difficult than the last one, but it is definitely doable. This specific team I actually lost my first battle against, and this is actually my second attempt to beat them. And same type of opening move here, where you try to get that dizzy on Lloyd, and then hit him with the big hit from Yeti. Now the turn order was screwed with a little bit here, so I wasn't able to immediately chain his attack here, but I eventually got it, and I got the 7.6 thousand non-crit. That unfortunately was dodged. That pep reduction would have been helpful, but that's alright. Again, we're going to save Majisto's ultimate after it initially becomes available to use on the next turn, when Yetis can then follow up. And as you saw right there, Commander Cold got hit with a 10k hit and barely fell below half. So he's got quite a bit of health at 7 stars, gear 7. He is a surprisingly tanky unit. And here we go with Majisto's ultimate, which we can follow up with Yeti's ultimate and start getting that stunned on the field. Unfortunately, it does look like Jay went before I was able to use his ultimate, so he won't be stunned. But that's alright, because this will do quite a bit of damage. And units are starting to fall low on health, and I should be able to take out Lloyd here. Actually, it looks like I'm going to use my damage block to protect Majisto here. Make sure he survives for a little bit longer, and then I start going after Lloyd. Here I target Jay to get him out of the battle, and as you noticed, he does not have stealth, and that's because of the buff immunity, which you can get pretty often with chill units and a maxed ice glider. It's very effective, and as you notice throughout all of these battles, buff immunity is very, very common, and is, of course, very helpful, especially against Ninjago, because you can prevent the Lloyd stealth and allow you to target those units, like maybe a unit like Kai or Garmadon that have lower health pools. So yeah, you can see my health getting a little bit low on some of these units, but Aurora is there to bring them right back. And as long as they don't completely target Aurora, you can win without too much trouble. And I find that typically they won't go after Aurora. And that's another thing that's great with her and the Ice Glider is whenever she gains buff, she will recover health. So like right there, you saw her gain a bunch of health from Commander Cold, just giving the defense and the skill up. So that's another reason that she works really well in this team. Of course, she's chill and she can revive, so she's solid. But the buff gains really helps her to stay alive as well, and I believe when she has higher amounts of health and other units are lower, the AI typically won't target her because there are better alternatives. That's one of the reasons, one of the unfortunate many reasons that this team is not great on defense. Typically a player can just target Aurora and get her out of the battle. Although if the AI can play it correctly and get the damage immunity and taunt on Yeti, that will be fantastic, but it does not happen very often, I find, on auto. And it's very rare that Majisto will save his ultimate for a turn, and by very rare I mean never happens. Majisto will just use his ult when it's available, but instead, as the player, if you save it for one turn, you can then follow up immediately with Yetis and get a bunch of stun on the enemy team, which of course is very, very helpful. And in lucky scenarios, you can get a 3 or more person stun. And Yeti's ultimate also does inflict that debilitate like I mentioned earlier, which also helps you to reduce their pep and just overall control their turn meter. So that's that battle right there, one with all 5 units still standing. And then to take first place, I went up against a slightly more difficult pirate team with Redbeard, Scarlet, and Hank all at 7 stars, and then a Gear 7 Master Wu and a 5-star Slimer. So this team was also a little bit difficult to beat, but nothing too crazy. So here I put the Clumsy on Hank, because if you put it on Slimer, he will cleanse that from himself, and he will still land his attacks anyway. So instead I went for Hank, which is nice, although my Yeti is getting pummeled right now. And I don't remember if I'm actually able to get the damage immunity on him for this battle. He is pretty close to dying, so we'll have to see. Looks like here I decided to go after Hank, but my Yeti's turn meter was messed up, and he's not ready to use his attack on that Dizzy. And also, Scarlet happened to taunt here because Hank did drop below 50% health, so I can't target him. That's another thing you have to watch out for when going up against pirate teams, to be careful around Scarlet's taunt, especially if she does not have buff immunity. If she does, you can just kind of go after whoever you want, because obviously she can no longer taunt, and in this case you'd probably want to take out Redbeard and Hank first, and then worry about the rest of the team. So I believe I end up taking Hank out first in this battle. We will see here in just a second. Okay, Majisto died, but again, Aurora is able to revive him. Another thing that's great with Majisto is he can give that retribution and that nice heal with his second special, which if you give to Yeti can be very, very helpful to help him recover more health and just do more damage on those counterattacks. Here Commander Cold is targeted and then taken out with that 10k hit, but again Aurora is right there to bring him back. Now units are starting to get low on health, so it becomes a little bit frantic here, but now Commander Cold can use his second special and get that defense up 2 and the damage block to all units, because a lot of them were under 50% health, which helps to negate a lot of incoming damage. Except for that hit, the 8.3k crit from Hank. That was a pretty large hit, but again, Aurora just brought her right back. So right there I gave the damage block to the Yeti, which was promptly dispelled by Scarlet. But that's alright, because then I have his ultimate ready, which does a pretty good amount of damage. And there was a little bit of Dizzy on the field, so Scarlet was stunned right there. And then we can reduce her pep with the next attack, right there. And if I'm able to go after Redbeard here after Scarlet loses her taunt, I can reduce his pep as well. And there we go, his pep is reduced by the debilitate and also Scarlet's ability there. And I then taunt with Yeti, who then gets taken out. Actually, look at that. Looks like I can heal him right back up and give him that retribution, which, like I mentioned earlier, is incredibly effective. Overall, Majisto just adds a lot to this team, as you're seeing here, and just makes them work a lot better. And I mean, I really do love Yeti in this team. Yeti is one of my favorite characters, because he does tons of damage and also tanks, and typically that's not a great idea because a taunting attacker is not the most effective. But when you have Aurora there to just revive him, as well as the Kelvin Colt combo to potentially give him damage immunity, it can be very, very effective, because then not only is your attacker taunting, but they also can't be damaged because they have damage immunity, and they have retribution from either his taunt ability or from Majisto's special ability, which means you'll be counterattacking, and then your attacker is counterattacking on every attack, and it leads to a lot of damage, which can be, of course, very, very helpful to actually win the battle. Here I use this again to give that damage block to the entire team. I heal back up Yeti, give him that retribution yet again, and it's just sort of a rinse and repeat until you eventually win the battle. Here we get to use that ability against a Dizzy unit finally, and it looks like I'm going to possibly take out Scarlet. Yeah, looks like I'm going to go for her first and then worry about the other two, and I'll probably just use the taunt ability here, yeah. And there we go. And then this should be a pretty quick win from here. Looks like, again, Majisto was taken out, but brought right back. That's also why this team is so good for Brickspedition, because you have all the revives there to just keep your team alive for the next wave. And there we go. The battle is won, and I have taken first place with Chill plus Majisto. So I'm going to continue to test this team in Arena, but so far my conclusion is that it is a very fun team for offense. It is one of my favorite teams to play. There is nothing like getting a taunting Yeti to have damage immunity and retribution all at the same time. It is incredibly fun to watch. Now Yeti is going to be my next Gear 7 as far as the Apple pieces go. Now that I have Redbeard to Gear 7, Yeti will be my next one, and hopefully I'll get Majisto to 6 stars before too long. I need to keep up with Brickspedition. I haven't been playing that for a little while, so I've been missing out on some of those achievements, but before too long, I should be able to get him all the way to 6 stars, and that should give him a nice little boost in stats and make him just a little bit tankier in that team and just make it a little bit better. And of course, getting everyone to level 60 will help as well. So overall, really fun team. I do recommend that you try this for offense. It's not exactly the best defensive team, although I have remained in the top 10, close to the top 5 for the last day straight with this team, so not too bad so far. Maybe it's just because not too many people are active in Arena, but I'll be sure to update you once I fully finish maxing this team. So that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks again to Agile Pirate Gladiator for sending me this team idea, and I'll see you in the next one.